And we thought we were gonna have another week of no news.
Yeah, psych.
We were very, very mistaken. I swear I have an athletic account. I know. Okay, maybe I canceled it.
Fair enough. Well, this is a interesting conversation we're about to have here, Matt.
Yeah. Um, who would have thought our downfall this year would be just Ime Adoka being way too horny.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was not what I thought
Yeah,
was gonna be in the cards here.
yeah, that wouldn't have made my Jeopardy board even, or
Yeah.
my bingo sheet.
Um,
Crazy week.
yeah,
When did it come out? It was like Wednesday night.
yes. Let me go look on Twitter. I thought I had the Athletics. I know Shams wrote a piece about it.
Okay.
Um, but I believe it came out Wednesday night. Not to get lost though, something we should mention is Robert Williams is going to be missing the beginning of the year.
Yeah, 8 to 12 weeks.
Which
Correct.
is yeah, which is something that definitely flew under the radar.
Yeah, but very bad news as well.
For sure, bad news. Let's see. So I believe it all started the 21st, right?
Which would have been
Tuesday.
Tuesday
Tuesday.
or Wednesday,
Yeah.
late Tuesday night.
Um, so let's start from that. Yeah, the 21st. I see the first thing, the big red letters. Um, we wound up he's gonna be missing this entire season. Was it Joe Mazzula? Is that the guy that he's taking over?
Yeah,
So it's gonna be the second black head coach in Celtics history.
yeah.
Williams.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess Shams is doing a good job. Woj made it seem like he had done something like I mean, obviously what he did. For what it seems like there was some consensual, some non-consensual stuff going on.
Mhm.
Um, once again, all these articles are through a paywall, but Woj was very like cryptic in what he was saying, and then Shams came out on the 22nd saying that um, Ma had an improper, intimate, and consensual relationship with a female female staff member. Then
Mhm.
it caused everyone to speculate, okay, which female staff member was it? So a lot
Mhm.
of people obviously were put under a lot of scrutiny. Um, and then just throughout that, Kelly Olynyk went to the Jazz. Yeah, so it seems like it's mostly from what's being read is that it looks like it was consensual, but I don't know who exactly was involved.
Yeah.
Um, for violation, they just call it violation of team policy. So we're not going to speculate exactly who it was. I believe the person may have been named, but also I don't want to be throwing more.
I
Um,
don't I don't think so yet.
um, so apparently this was made public by this, not made public, but privately talked about by the Celtics in July, and
Mhm.
he just continued. I guess he
Yeah,
continued
didn't
with
didn't
this
didn't stop the
relationship.
arrangement. Yeah.
So that's really fun. Just just terrible news week from a Celtics perspective.
Definitely.
Yeah, Robert Williams underwent a successful arthroscopic procedure, removed loose bodies, and addressing swelling in his left knee. I don't really love that, honestly. I really don't love that this is like a continuous thing with Rob.
Nope.
Just can't seem to ever be fully healthy.
Right. It it's going to be those meniscus sort of PCL injuries linger forever. Like I had two, and I'm still my knee. I wake up every morning and my knee is creaking and it cracks all the time. I mean, it's and for a guy that plays above the rim,
And
jump
six
probably a
240
billion
pounds.
times a year. You know.
Yeah, especially having all that weight on there as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't weigh as much as Rob Williams does, and I'm not
Yeah,
six
don't
foot
know how much
ten,
it is.
and I can't dunk. I like I couldn't imagine being 6'10" and having being how old is he? 24.
Yeah, he might even be younger than that.
Okay. He's at least 23, 24, but the same, like our age-ish, putting that amount of weight on your knees for your entire life and now having reoccurring meniscus problems, like it just does not bode well for the injury prospects going forward with Rob. It's going to be a career-long issue.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about it, how we didn't feel super confident going to the season, even when Rob was healthy, that we just a lack of like big man depth. It really is gonna we have Cabangeli is a possible guy who obviously had played great in the summer league. And then we have Luke Cornett, who I guess as of right now has been penciled in to be that backup center behind Al. I imagine if Rob is going to be injured, they're not gonna attempt to try and go really big. They're just gonna probably have to sacrifice a lot of defense. If that's the case, or probably I'd really doubt with Rob being out for any significant amount of time, and just even our center depth right now, unless Luke Cornett really steps up and is able to be a at least an average above average defender, I really see us repeating as being the best defensive team in the NBA. I think we're probably gonna be more likely kind of sliding down towards the middle of the top 10, middle to back into the top 10. But I do think our offense will probably improve with the addition of Brogdon.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, Luke Cornett is one of Brad's guys. Brad has been high on Cornett for a while, and so you'd have to sort of expect to have some faith in him, you know, like that he is one of Brad's guys. Brad loves him, and I personally don't want him to be he's not a backup center in the NBA.
Yeah, he's really the third string guy. Like I felt good if we would have had maybe a third guy. Maybe Grant steps up. Obviously, he's slimmed down quite a bit from when he's played majority of his minutes at center. What the fuck my dog's chewing at? I'm sure I'll find out soon enough. But I don't know how much I really like Grant there. Obviously, maybe it's more matchup dependent, but I just really don't like the prospects. And then we're relying a lot on Al, who's old. Like he's not a young guy. Like I'm sure Al's gonna probably have to, sit out quite a few games this year. And then you're left with what? Grant starting at center, Luke Cornett starting at center some games. Hopefully Rob's back by then. Even then, back him up. We just look very thin. I don't really love that.
No, and it's been sort of the public perception that the Celtics aren't going to add another player in the wake of the Rob Williams injury. It's what all the reports look like. It's looking like Brad is going to roll with the guys he's got and see what we can get out of Cabangeli. I mean, I see in this whole the wake of the Robert Williams news, I've seen a lot of Twitter reports saying that Cabangeli is Robert Williams light, but it was just like two lobs from the summer league. That's all it was.
Yeah, we know what Cabangeli is. I don't think he's really gonna be just magically transformed to a guy that's an all defensive team player overnight, a guy that's a high level contributor on offense, especially how Rob is able to contribute, right? Like he's low volume but high efficiency. There's not many guys like Rob in the NBA.
No, there's not.
Yeah, so I wouldn't rule it out us making a trade at the deadline if this is still a big concern. And like I said, acquiring maybe a Rudy Gay who really doesn't have a center situation, but he can play some small ball 5. He's mostly going to be playing some 4. But maybe at that time, a more obvious center will open up. Maybe a team that we had thought is maybe would have competed headed into this season. Things aren't going as planned. They're willing to sell off quality big man for a guy. Like I mentioned on the last pod, I was like, I really just think Peyton Pritchard is going to be traded this year. I just think he has too much value to be riding the bench. And I just think it's going to be hard to kind of shoehorn him into this rotation pretty consistently and with enough time that is really fair to him and his ability.
Right. No, it is. It's a sad thought, but you're spot on when what you said.
Yeah. I mean, he's good enough, but so it's just like, I feel like we'd get our most value out of him by trading him. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna kind of have to rely on. Hopefully, being able to acquire a guy who at the deadline, because I think even with Rob and Al healthy, I still would like for the regular season just be able to give them rest and have quality backups in their place to help take over for them.
Yeah, it is paramount, with the depth that we have, or the lack of depth, and the age of Al. His rest is imperative. We saw how good he was in the playoffs, but that was with some rest at the end of the year, and then we saw the depth. I mean, the rest that Al got diminished because he had to play such a big role, and his defense was phenomenal, but he was slowing down at the end of that finals run. So it is going to be the biggest issue, personnel, or I guess not the biggest issue personnel wise, but the biggest issue player wise is going to be finding that backup center.
Yeah, and obviously, we don't know how this team reacts to. I'm sure they have a lot of respect for Joe Mazzula, but I don't know if we can also say this team's going to gel, or maybe Mazzula is going to have different philosophies on a lot of. I know, obviously, Ime is going to be away from the team, but he's still not resigned from his position. He still is currently the Celtics head coach. Mazzula is just the interim.
Yes.
So it's going to be very weird. It's going to be very weird to see if Mazzula tries to put his own kind of imprint on the team. I think for him, he probably understands this as still being Ime's team, but maybe a tryout for a head coaching position of his own.
Right.
So it'll be interesting.
What better spot to get your tryout with a team, a young, super fun team that just went to the finals?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot more questions popping up in these last 7 days than we've really had for a while, pretty much since the trade deadline of last year or shortly thereafter. I'm a lot more nervous about this team. I said I didn't like the fact that we were the favorites headed into this season. Thought that was bad juju. I'd much rather be kind of an underdog. But with all this news, I'm really, really not liking our chances. Even more. It's becoming a lot tougher, a lot more adversity to come through. But maybe we'll pull together, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll play even better under Mazzula. Maybe Mazzula is an even better coach than Ime. But we saw the bumps and bruises that Ime took at the beginning of the season last year, being a rookie head coach. I think Mazzula is probably going to struggle off the bat too.
Mm-hmm. And so it will be interesting to see that. That's something I hadn't thought about, that how slow the team started. But I think there is a resilience we saw in this team during the playoffs last year that hopefully will carry over, and the players can sort of pick up Ime here and pick up the organization and continue to play at the level that they are playing at and expected to play at.
Yeah. It's just gonna be tough, especially. I mean, being that good of a defensive team, that's a lot mentality wise, and wanting it. It's gonna be interesting to see if they're able to still bring that same intensity night in, night out, with a different voice in their ear. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, just not good news this week from a Celtics perspective.
No, Twitter sucked this week,
it's just really unfortunate. Did you see Paul Pierce called the Malcolm Brogdon deal the best move of the NBA offseason?
I did not know.
He did. He indeed said that.
He also said that it shouldn't be a suspension; it should just be a fine before all the information came out.
Yeah. So I also think that's a pretty biased take. I probably like the DeJounte trade more than that.
Yeah. One for two at best, Paulie.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's looking like we also have Noah Vonleh, who I kind of forgot about.
Yeah, he got drafted by the Knicks, right?
I think so. Not that long ago, either Knicks or Charlotte.
There's Charlotte, and then he went to the Knicks. Yeah,
but he hasn't really had much of a career.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to put into words because I don't really know. I still don't know, or none of us know the exact sort of ongoings, and I don't know if, or I don't know when we will find that out. So it, I'm sure that there's still some internal things going on between Wick and between Brad and Ime, uh, and I don't know even if we would get all the information. Like it's going to be hard to piece together this until probably a couple more weeks, and then we'll see. I don't want to put out like a firm comment.
Yeah, it's gonna be so different because we felt like we were in such a good place entering the season.
Yeah,
And now it's like I don't know where we're at again. It's just a lot of new.
definitely.
Another thing, the Celtics are honoring Bill Russell with, I believe a 6 is going to be painted in the paint.
Yes, yeah.
It's
the first time that there's been any graphic in the paint of an NBA court.
Yeah, I mean, well deserving. Obviously, you can't say enough about Bill Russell.
Right.
But yeah, really, that's about it for Celtics news. I mean, it's mostly, of course, the MA stuff and the Robert Williams stuff. What's his name had a successful surgery apparently, Gallinari, but I don't think he's coming back either way. So
right, yeah, he won't. He probably won't play this year. His knee looked busted up.
Yeah,
that was a pretty ugly scene.
Also, did you think it was kind of interesting how quickly Brad shot down, like before they announced it was going to be Joe Mazzula? I believe someone asked him, it's like, did you have any thought about stepping back and coaching? And he was like, nope.
Absolutely none. Yeah, something like that.
So it's kind of he's just done with it.
Yeah, that is interesting because he's literally 1 year removed of this team and could step in and do the job, like it's interesting that he's just done.
But I think it's also could be the situation where maybe they just didn't want to fire Ime because they don't want him to get hired like quickly and immediately.
Yeah.
And they want to have a chance to be able to search for their guy if they do decide to part ways with Ime, and they don't want kind of Brad to come back.
Right.
Or maybe it's like a tryout for the Celtics for Joe Mazzula. Maybe they think he has the stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of coaching thing. I think being the GM and coach would be a lot for him. I think that's probably the biggest issue is trying to do all the general managing and coaching, whereas he stepped away from coaching because it was just so much on a daily basis. I don't think doing both is something that he really is looking for, would be looking forward to. So that probably could have played a big part in it. But yep, a lot of questions on the Celtics future, and it didn't seem like we were going to have really any heading into this season. So of course we can't just have anything go perfectly right for us, can we?
No, definitely injuries all over the place, and no, we can't have anything right.
But I mean, doom and gloom. I think at worst we're still going to be a great team that's going to finish with a top 6 seed and probably definitely win. We definitely should win our first round playoff game, our first round playoff matchup. Extremely talented team. The sky's still the limit. So a lot to look forward to this year, even though it maybe doesn't seem so great right now.
And I think that's sort of casting a cloud over things. This team is still going to be good. It's just we were both sitting here over the last couple of weeks just expecting to be a top 2 team in the East and have the coach of the future and have everyone generally healthy outside of Danilo,
Yeah, it's tough for sure. But do you have anything else non-Celtics related? Because I think we pretty much covered the Celtics stuff.
Yeah, the Pats looked decent today. They had 2 plays that could have changed it. The first play was Mac's second interception. Did you watch any of the game?
No, dude. What streaming service would I watch the NFL games on? Or do I have to watch it on some janky website?
Yeah, you got to watch it on some web. Oh, I mean, it's also it's. Do you don't have cable? Do you?
No, I have Peacock, and I was like, oh, Peacock's NBC, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh,
But
aren't
is Peacock live?
it does have live, like it has Sunday night football, and I can watch Monday night because Monday night's on ESPN Plus, and
Yeah.
Thursday nights on Amazon.
Yeah.
So like I can watch all those games. I just can't watch Sunday games, which really sucks. So I think most weekends I'll just find a place to go from here on out. But I assumed I could go on Peacock and watch those games, and I couldn't. I always forget which cable or which service provides.
They're starting to do it on. It's called on NFL Plus. It's on NFL.com.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm probably not gonna buy that. If I'm being honest with you, I'll probably just find someone's house to watch them at.
I mean, I just stream it on my laptop, and then YouTube TV probably would have it.
Yeah, I'm good off that, dude. I have so many streaming services now already. I just bought ESPN Plus. I'm paying for HBO Max. I have Paramount, or not Paramount. I have Peacock now, so it's like I don't want just one more thing.
I know it is a lot, dude. But the Pats look decent today. There were two plays that screwed the game up. Mac Jones' second interception was just like a lob to the back end of the end zone, and it was overthrown by like 4 or 5 feet right to a defender. Interception in the red zone. And then the next one was the Pats down. I think they were down like 26-31, and they like converted on a third down, Aguilar across the middle, and then he fumbled the ball at like the 20-yard line, and Baltimore picked it up and scored the next drive. The game was over.
Yeah, the Celtics, no, Celtics. Also, the Bills lost, which was kind of surprising with how dominant they looked through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
the Dolphins are good.
The Dolphins are good, and honestly, I think it was. I know this is gonna be rude to you, but it was sort of nice to see Josh Allen get a little humbled today. He was acting quite diva-like throughout the whole day, and he was pouting all like he sat there. Did you see the end of the game where he met with Tua and like put his head down on Tua's shoulder and was just pouting all? He was a big diva today. It was nice to see him get humbled, to tell you the truth.
Dude, I don't really understand how like I said, I didn't get to watch any of the games today, so including this one.
Yeah.
How does he throw for 400 yards with 2 touchdowns and they only scored 19 points?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't really have many turnovers. I don't know. It's crazy. I didn't know he threw for 4.
Yeah, I mean, he threw the ball 63 times.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't see that.
Look at the numbers. They allowed 4 sacks. They only had 1 punt. Like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Really?
1 turnover. How does? Yeah, this game is weird.
Mm-hmm.
They had twice as much time as possession as the Dolphins did.
And
they had twice as many first downs. They converted 11 of 18 third downs, 2 of 3 fourth downs. Dude, what? I'm mad I didn't watch this game now. Like I said, 7 penalties, but not even like that many more. Like that's, like I said, I didn't get to watch the game. I was trying to follow it the best I could through my fantasy players, but that's just so wild looking at the stats. Like I'm very confused how this was such a low scoring game and how the Dolphins were able to win.
Yeah, 42 of 63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries, 47 yards too. That's crazy.
Yeah, because I mean it's 1 turnover to 0 turnovers. That's all it is. But the Bills dominated the ball.
Right.
But I don't know. Now I think the AFC East is going to be a 2-horse race. I don't think the Pats got the dogs this year to really compete.
I don't think so either.
I think it's going to be the Dolphins, the Bills. I do think the Bills will bounce back. I'm glad they lost early, rather than late. I hope they kind of maybe go a little run. I wouldn't mind a nice 15-2 season, something along those lines.
Exactly. To tell you the truth, I said it in the group chat earlier, but it is becoming more and more apparent that the Patriots need an overhaul in the coaching staff.
Yeah, you think Bill's done?
Bill Belichick included, yeah. Like the schematics of their offense, the personnel decisions that they make. It is. I'm obviously not an NFL head coach, and Bill Belichick is the greatest to ever do it, but he has become a touch outdated.
Yeah.
And the style of NFL of football that they play is just not the best, and the personnel that they put out week in week out is not the best. The money that they spend is spent in questionable areas, and they're going to lose Damian Harris at the end of the year. They've wasted draft picks. It's under Bill Belichick's tutelage too, like under his advisement. It's time to restart with Mac. I mean, it would be terrible for Mac Jones' development to have 3 OCs in 3 years, but it has to happen.
Do you think that Mac is the guy though?
I was listening to part of my take. I don't think so, to tell you the truth. I don't think
like
so.
I just said it when he was drafted. People get mad at me for it. I was like, I don't know. He just gives me Kirk. Like I just think he's gonna be Kirk Cousins. Like
I mean, if he's Kirk Cousins, then he's the guy. But I don't.
Kirk Cousins is not the guy though. Like you can't win a champ. It's gonna be hard to win a championship with Kirk Cousins. Like he never comes up in big situations. Not saying Mac, but it's just like he's gonna be a guy who's gonna be pretty efficient, but he's not gonna really ever be able to take the top off of defense.
Yeah,
he'll make some mistakes. He's more of a game manager. I don't know. That's who I felt like he was just watching him in Alabama. Like that's what I thought he was going to be in the NFL. Obviously, he had a very good rookie year, but
yeah. I mean, at Alabama, he had phenomenal targets, and Kirk Cousins has phenomenal targets in Minnesota now too. Like there were plenty of options to go with this year and last year on the way that they spent their money. Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne are not good.
Devontae Parker way past his prime.
Yeah, they're not good NFL receivers. None of them are even like top 30. Like I would hesitate. I mean, Jacoby Myers is probably top 30. So they have at least one wide receiver. You know, like if we were breaking it down for 32 teams, each team should have one top 30 wide receiver, correct?
Yeah, I mean, playing the odds. Yeah, obviously some teams are going to have more than others, and some teams aren't going to have any.
Right. But if your best guy is Jacoby Myers, who is an underneath slot receiver, you can't have a legitimate offense without a legitimate wide receiver. That's the way the NFL has become. I mean, you see it
legit weapon.
Yeah, you see it in fantasy football now. Like running backs don't matter, and like it's all wide receivers. Like the first 2 weeks of the year, there were 0 running backs who scored more than 16 points in back-to-back games.
Really, Chubb didn't. I feel like Chubb's been going off.
Chubb, he didn't have 16 in the first week.
Really, he didn't. Yeah, I just knew the second week he popped off, and this week he had a good week. He had 17.3.
Yeah, he's got Chubb's probably the top running back right now, just because he did have. I mean, he had three touchdowns week 2, and then a decent week.
He had 15.3 week 1, so he just barely under that 16.
Right, but I mean, 16 points is not. It's 100 yards and a touchdown, and I mean, you draft first round running backs to get 100 yards and a touchdown every week, you know, like or 80 yards and 5 catches, you know, for 40 yards. The way of the NFL has changed from running the ball to throwing it, and it needs to be weapons at the wide receiver and tight end level.
You need at least like two guys, like guys that are solid enough. And like you look around the Patriots team, they just don't really have like a lot of reliable receivers. I think Jacoby Myers is a reliable receiver, but I still think you need one more guy.
And I mean, they have close to 100, or it's like what, 60 to 80 million dollars in cap space between Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, and Nelson Aguilar. And
so it wasn't like they're not spending money; they're just not spending money on the right guys.
They stink.
Yeah,
like draft a wide receiver last year and then sign Devontae Adams in the off season. Something like that. I mean, all these guys in around the league just got paid this year. You couldn't have waited a little bit and found somebody to fill in last year and then use the big money this year.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be tough, and it's not like it's gonna get any easier. It's not like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's still like 25 years old, 26 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the AFC East is gonna be competitive for a while. Like Tua is obviously they've developed a good team around him. But yeah, we're just gonna see if the season unfolds.
Yeah, it's not gonna be great.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
I'm also doing quite well this week in our fantasy leagues.
Yeah, you are. I just had a massive swing in our dynasty. I was up all day, and Ian's team stinks. So
yeah, Ian's like not intentional. Well, not like tanking, but he's basically tanking though. His team is crud.
Yeah, and I don't want to lose to him this week.
Yeah. My team is was 0-2, but I'm looking like right now I'm going to be able to beat Zeke. So my team's 0-2 and it's playing Zeke's team that's 2-0 in Dynasty. And I look like right now. In the other league, I'm gonna look like I'm gonna go 3 now.
Same here.
So okay.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much wrapped up for me in the ESPN.
Yeah, it still has a lot to go in that league, but right now it's giving me the benefit of the doubt. But do you have anything else?
Trying to think. No. What do you got going on this week?
Not much. It's just starting to get cold.
Is it really?
I mean, yeah, it's starting to be like things where every day it's 60 degrees. It's like 65 by the afternoon, but the mornings it's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Wet. So that's really fun.
That's cold, man.
Yep.
We're about to get a hurricane come through Tuesday-ish. But it probably won't get close to me. It's probably gonna hit land like an hour and a half east of here. So yeah. So I should be all right. Just a little bit of rain.
Yeah. Stay safe, pal.
I appreciate it, man. You too.
Okay. See you next week, bud.
See ya.